This is Dialogue coming to you from my wife's truck. I'm picking her up from work. Um, I had the day off today. And being that today's Valentine's Day, I feel like I want to show some love or share some love and kind of tell you my testimony. So I'm always confused about how to go about this since, you know, how do you condense the story of coming to Christ in 5 minutes? So essentially, I lived my life however I wanted. I was drinking and smoking, of course, chasing girls, of course. That's the same cliche as everyone. Um, but the manner in which God saved me um, is monumentous. And I think it was from my son. Um, he'll be 15 next month. 15. It's crazy. Um, so it was really him that the Lord used to get a hold of my heart. And from him, he brought me down the path that I was already a part of. Um, Crusader martial arts, and the cross movement, hip hop group. It was these two people that challenged me, two groups of people. The cross movement challenged me in a abstract sense because it's not like I actually had a relationship with these dudes, not like a personal one. Um, and the people at Crusader Martial Arts challenged me uh, with a relationship, and it wasn't anything that was vocalized. It was the way they lived. It was the way they lived that showed me what it meant to be a believer and what it meant for my son. My son and I did martial arts for about 6 years, and we became believers. I dedicated my life to being a believer and an evangelist and all that. But Joe, it was really those two things combined with my son. Because I don't know if I would have even been open to any of those things without my son. I mean, yeah, I studied martial arts here and there growing up, and I was always into hip hop. But the cross movement challenged me to really bring it, but spitting the truth. Because I've always been a believer. I always believed. I grew up Catholic. Um, but what did that really mean? That I didn't understand. That I didn't have a good idea of. But when God got a hold of my heart, it changed. You know, I remember I would read my son. I would tuck my son in every night. We'd read stories from the Bible and the children's Bible. And I would do my own studies as well. And something changed one night. I was reading Matthew 10. Um, I forget the verse number, but it was, Jesus said, I did not come to bring peace, but I came to bring a sword. And I'm paraphrasing here, but he said, I'd set a man's enemies would be those of his own household. And that was deep to me because we was with my son, when tucking him in at night, we was reading, we were at when God asked Abraham to sacrifice Isaac. And something hit me that night because I was so grateful. I was so grateful that God would never ask me to do that for my son. You know what I'm saying? But then I thought, could I do it? And then I thought, I'm putting my son above God. And that's a hard one to understand. That's a hard one to deal with. Because we have to put God number one above our kids, especially being, you know, single parents, which I was. And I got married. And I had to put my wife first. But even then, I was putting my wife above God. And that's what it was challenging me, to put God first. Long story short, we need to put God first. That's my testimony.